Hello, everybody.
If we are starting another episode, then this is us starting it. We're continuing our conversation.
We've just dilated some time.
Yeah, for us, it's just the blink of an eye. We're going to continue talking about space-time and architecture. So this is almost the last bit of architecture. We take a holiday from architecture, basically. Well, after really kind of late Baroque, Rococo, we kind of go into landscape, we go into a bit of urbanism, but architecture, he's less and less interested in until... He's really not interested in architecture from kind of the late 18th century up until the 1890s. But what he is interested in is engineering.
Technology.
He has this funny picture of the automaton. This is a story, this is a kind of just so story which I've heard before, which is, why didn't the French, much larger, richer, more numerous, why didn't they have the Industrial Revolution instead of Little Britain? And the answer is because they were sidetracked by making useless fripperies like automata.
People actually say that.
Yeah,
because, it's not like people weren't making automata in England too.
Yeah.
Isn't the mechanical swan?
Yeah, in the Bose Museum, yeah. Yes, but that is a little just so story which I have heard, and it's one which more or less Giedion repeats.
It's quite a cool automata, this one.
Yeah.
Have you seen a video of it?
What does this one do? It writes.
You plug in different letters on the back, and then it picks up a pen, dips it in ink, and writes it out.
Oh, amazing. It wasn't ready to go to market, really. That's the...
Does
it scale? No.
If you want something for producing type, this isn't probably the best way of doing it. Making a weird miniature doll with a system of hundreds of cams.
Yeah.
But it's quite incredible that it works.
Yeah.
It can write a word.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. Yeah.
Nice joined up cursive handwriting.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. What he does tend to focus on much more is early
industrial technology
and the kind of advent of iron in construction.
And I suspect some of this has come out of the research for Building in France.
Yeah.
He puts a bit about England, which obviously was doing it a bit earlier in reality. Did you get this stuff at school? I got the stuff at school.
What, Iron Bridge, Colbert Down?
Yeah, all that stuff.
I don't really remember.
Well,
I just remember...
Maybe when I was 10 or something, quite young.
Oh, no. I remember our history being... We did the Nazis so many times. And then we also did... it's very peculiar how we teach history in this country. Maybe this has changed now with the new sort of conservative ethos of school teaching. Yeah, we did the Nazis and basically the civil rights movement in the United States. That was what I can remember studying.
Cool.
It's very bizarre. Yeah.
Well, we had the Norman Conquest,
that's
the
good.
Tudors, the Civil War.
Yeah, that's good.
Lots and lots of memorizing who invented the... Jethro Tull invented the seed drill, the improved seed drill. So-and-so invented the flying shuttle. So we did have a lot of that. And we did have Iron Bridge. And then 5-year plans and the Russian Civil War.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, no, that's completely different.
Yeah. We had a lot of 5-year plans. What happened in the first 5-year plan?
Dig a big canal, which kills hundreds of thousands of prisoners. Yeah.
So it turns out there obviously is some latitude.
Yeah. So, iron.
Yeah,
we get a bit of early heroic iron building and also some quite fun stuff. They have the bridge. They've got Iron Bridge. We've also got the Sunderland Bridge. I didn't know about this one. This one was very nice. Now lost. Very big one. Little Iron Aviary by Humphrey Repton.
Yeah, this seems really strange to me. This is notionally made of cast iron.
Yeah.
And it's like a filigree bird cage.
Yeah.
In 2 stories, for which cast iron seems to be a particularly inappropriate material to me. But
yes,
I guess they were well into it.
You could do it. You need very, very fine sand.
But also, wouldn't it just break?
Yeah, maybe. What if the birds are too forceful?
And then he's a bit in 2 minds about cast iron, isn't he? Because cast iron, great competitive strength, ability also to be moulded.
Yes.
So molding equals bad, because what can you do with molding?
Ornaments.
You can make your ornaments ornamental.
Make it all kind of basket work, yeah.
And then, oh my god, that's so, like, that's a real dead end for humanity, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not what we want. I mean, the focus in this is very French. He tends to go for French examples over.
He's just written a book about it.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, yes, you could see, yeah, on a entendu, yeah, you can see, like, like he even does like French greenhouses in preference to Paxton's.
Yeah,
and that
which
kind
were
of
built
thing.
afterwards. It's
Yeah.
like, here's a greenhouse that looks suspiciously like one that was built,
Yeah.
you know.
We have sort of bits of early iron structure where they're working out how to do different sorts of trusses and things like that. And we've got big greenhouses and the arcades. Also, kind of other bits of iron structure. This reference. This is one I love. Absolutely love this space. The Temple of the Muses, so called, Finsbury Square, which is a sort of big library. Is it bookshop?
It's a bookshop. It's a massive bookshop. This feels like one of these cool techno Georgian spaces.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, for the audio crew, it's a kind of big room with a sort of circular opening with a mezzanine above in the middle of it, and it's sort of supported by columns, and then there's also a big kind of circular desk which is receiving the
really
columns
small
below.
cast iron columns, and they're slightly erratically located.
No, it's so good. Yeah, these spaces are lovely. It's a shame that so little of this kind of stuff
Victorians demolished all this stuff.
Yeah.
There was a period before there was techno Victorian in London.
Yeah.
There was techno Georgian London, which we don't really.
Yeah, there's basically not. I mean, yeah, we talked about it a bit on Sign as well. You know, like a lot of these amazing lanterns and all the rotunda in
what
general.
about canalpunk?
Canalpunk, yeah. Well, like just rotundas in general. Yeah. People were obsessed by rotundas, like all of these kind of ones. You would just make like a massive round building with a dome on it, and thousands of people would come and walk round and round and round in circles and kind of canoodle in the...
Or a huge strange column in the middle.
Yeah.
But also they're interested in trying to make the first really big rooms for commercial. Yeah. He likes to go to the Royal Pavilion, which is derided for being naff as hell.
Yeah, but it's
in Brighton, but it's quite cool.
It is good, yeah. A bit of Nash's Royal Pavilion. And Telford's unbuilt cast iron proposal
I think I'd seen a picture of this, but I hadn't really clocked its date before.
This is an absolute mad one, isn't it? This would have been so cool.
This is serious canalpunk.
Yeah, this would have been amazing. It's a sort of single arch bridge over the Thames, which is a large river entirely done in this quite fine cast iron.
It would have been the wonder of an age, wouldn't it? That would have been really cool.
I think they should still do this, actually. This is on my list, along with Rebuild the Crystal Palace. This is on my...
Yeah, that's a great piece of utopian... Yes. While the French were concentrating on decapitating monarchs...
Yes.
We'd already got that out of our system.
Yes. Youthful hijinks. Yeah. Yeah, and here we were, doing cast iron. So then, I mean, I think that you can genuinely say this is like a new piece of technology, isn't it? You know, I think that the jury's out on whether the undulating wall is truly like a technological breakthrough or not. But like, obviously, the steel frame is a real thing, and it's a way of building a building which you couldn't do before, and which, once you've worked out how to do it, unlocks a whole new set of potentials.
And he identifies various components of this technology and goes through the history of it, which to a great extent you could probably find better sources for elsewhere. So you can have really small columns.
Yeah.
And you can support vaults on those columns. So you can, have a terracotta arch or have some sort of retaining thing, pour concrete on the top of it. Yeah. Have big, strong floors with columns. But the other innovation, once you start doing that, is hang on, we're doing a cast process.
Yeah.
We can just serialize production, make the building out of a kit of parts, and chuck it together. And that's kind of from cast iron land. And you could potentially sort of sell that to all sorts of places.
Yes. He's got... I love this picture for this James Bogardus
This is a funny idea.
Yeah, this is a great little rhetorical picture about the kind of resilience of the iron framed building, where he's got a kind of frame factory building, and then sort of deleted lots and lots of bits so that it's kind of floating
But it's funny, isn't it? 'Cause it's just a
fragmentarily.
drawing. Like, it wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't actually work. But it's a great bit of rhetoric, isn't it?
Yeah. Isn't there a bit in Diary of a Nobody where he's really sick of people coming around talking about how strong their metal furniture is, and someone's going and he wants to go and dance on everyone's tables by showing how strong his metal table is.
Oh, really?
So it must have been something where people were going on endlessly about how strong metal was. Metal is wonderful.
It's very strong. Yeah. Well, it's quite strong.
Yeah, and I guess it was new. You know?
Yeah.
Something that I really enjoy throughout is he is convincing at making a case for things that happened a long time ago as being really exciting and new when they were happening.
Yeah.
And people feeling that they were on the cusp of this great new age all the time, which they would have been, and things would have been really exciting. The industrial city was really exciting and new, and part of the reason it worked is people wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
With things that happened incredibly a long time ago, and we see incredibly old relics of, and the ideas which are super hackneyed, you do need someone to guide your hand and go, this was very exciting and very new. And he is successful at doing that, I thought.
Yeah, I think when he gets onto the 19th century, although he doesn't like the architecture anymore, he also gets much sort of deeper cuts. You know, they're much less sort of obvious references, and he also starts to get a bit more of a sense of, you know, we get bits of kind of pop culture, and we get adverts, and we get much more of a kind of read on what people were feeling about it and that kind of thing. You know, he starts to have more of a sense of that. St. Louis, Missouri, is one of the great locations at this moment. There's lots of lovely photos of these. I don't know how much. I mean, they knocked down an awful lot of this, didn't they? These amazing kind of riverfront district of sort of warehouses, cast iron warehouses and things.
Well, I would imagine they've stopped knocking it down now.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah, I think there's still a bit of it around. I mean,
yeah, I have to say I wasn't previously familiar with this French chocolate factory.
Yeah, this is great. This French chocolate factory, which is floating over a river in a rather unlikely way. So it's a sort of bridge chocolate factory.
It manages to discuss this building without ever mentioning its flamboyant Gothic style.
Yeah, he gives us as much of the kind of structural X-ray view as he can. And then, yeah, we get Labrouste. We get
I think
Labrouste.
we should do sometime in the future.
Yeah.
I think he's a real cool figure.
Yeah, principally these two amazing libraries that he built in Paris. First, Saint-Geneviève, which is a sort of two-arch, long ways extruded one. And then this the National Library, which are this kind of whole series of domed spaces, both of them supported on very thin cast iron columns.
Although for him, actually, strangely, he's not super interested in those spaces. He's super interested
in the book stacks.
In the book stacks.
Yeah, the most important thing is that you can see that the book stacks, which are like properly modern, very pragmatic deck access, sort of true iron framing.
Got iron floors,
and also separated from the reading room by a big glass wall that you can see through.
Yeah,
which is a sort of big heroic early curtain wall. Not sure how important it actually was in Labrouste's thinking. Thing. It's like a big door, basically, arched doorway.
Well,
it's cool.
I think it probably was quite important. I mean, that would have been quite expensive. And in fact, even when this book was written, big panes of glass were still a massive pain in the neck to make. They made them by casting them and then grinding them.
Pretty horrible job. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did have machines for it, but it's inherently glass plate wasn't easy until the 50s.
I mean, again, he could have had the British Library at this period. It also had this kind of arrangement.
He talks about its inferiority.
Oh.
Because it doesn't have a cast iron floor, and you can't see the stack from the reading room in the same way, and it doesn't have these little bridges in the same way.
The stacks are hidden. It did have little bridges, and it did also have cast iron floors. I think. The domes in the Bibliothèque Nationale are quite cool. They're
no, I think that room is really cool.
They're a kind of. I mean, he does briefly mention it because they're a sort of. They're not ferroconcrete, but they're a little bit like it. They're a sort of mesh with plaster over them to create these sort of super light forms.
Well, there's another roof on top, obviously, so
Yeah.
they're kind of suspended.
Yeah. And then we get an awful lot of market halls and department stores, which
Yeah,
I
and-
think this is probably reprising, quite a lot of architecture in France, don't you think? We got the big market halls at Les Halles, which were the big
Were you
sort of
previously
central...
familiar with the Hungerford Market? I certainly wasn't.
No,
This is something that was in, like, Charing Cross.
in the 1830s or something. Yeah, didn't know that one at all. And he even shows a whole series of kind of propositional schemes for Les Halles, which are more structurally exciting than what they actually built.
One of which he says didn't work at all. Wouldn't have worked at all.
Yeah. So one is an
Don't think
absolutely
about.
sort of mega one.
Well, I mean, that looks very like
Yeah.
the 1880, whatever it is.
Galerie des Machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one, the last gallery of machines. What's he talking about with these? With these, he's talking about a quite clear technological story of big spans,
Getting better
open
and better
spaces.
at making steel frames, basically.
Yeah,
So,
well, this is all cast iron,
yeah.
and becoming more and more confident. For him, culture just has to get over itself
Yeah.
and discover what it really wants. And it really wants
Yeah.
the technologically pure.
Yeah, the thing I
there's
think
this
I think
leitmotif
we
of,
were
like-
we were slightly missing out a bit of explanation. He keeps talking about whether they have tie bars or not, and I don't even really know what tie bars are in this.
Oh, I can explain that. So that's when you've got the arch,
yeah,
right? So, you've got a lateral force.
Yeah.
You've got to resolve it. So conventionally, you'll put
a bar
something
across the middle
to take
Yeah.
the tension. But obviously, you don't want to do that because you've got something low. And they're not very good at connecting that force into the ground to sort of
Yeah.
push back the ground. And so you can have buttresses or things like that.
Yeah,
Or I guess you could have a really strong truss that had some rigidity to kind of take it like that.
yeah. If it's
and
rigid
it's-
enough, it doesn't need that.
But I mean, what they eventually do is they manage to transmit it with a hinge joint to the foundations. I guess there's an engineering difficulty with the cast materials about taking out differential thermal expansion. Well, the thing is, when you manage to take out a tie bar,
Yeah,
you can have that point of this massive arch being completely open and just hitting the ground at a point. And you don't need anything behind it.
yeah,
So you can have that thing that you have for the first time in the last Gallery of the Machines, where this huge span touches the ground at a point and then just
bounces up
disappears
again.
off.
Yeah, the Bon Marché department store is another great one. We have the Crystal Palace, and then we have the whole kind of heroic sequence of the galleries of the machines in 4 different international expositions in Paris in 1855, 67, 78, and is it 80, 89? Which is also the one when the Eiffel Tower was built. And then obviously the Crystal Palace in 51 is sort of inaugurates this era, although the focus then shifts to Paris. Yeah, I mean, he does talk a little bit about the Crystal Palace and how the contents of the exhibition are not necessarily very modern.
Well, they express the
Incongruously,
taste of their era.
yeah,
It's a bit like the stuff inside the Millennium Dome or whatever.
yeah.
Um,
Yes, no, he doesn't show
Less
it. Or he doesn't
tragic.
show it. One of the best ones is the view of the Gothic court. Is it called the Gothic court? The medieval court. Yeah, what they actually had in the Crystal Palace was like things like this with lots and lots of Pugin furniture and
in
kind
fact,
of real stuff and
the interior, in its detailing, I mean, it was all designed by Owen Jones, and that was quite well appreciated and something he didn't talk about, which I thought was interesting, with the Crystal Palace, just because it kind of chimes with what he's talking about, which was the architectural reception at the time, where I get the impression that people loved the Crystal Palace, and then the architectural community was like, oh no, we're in, like, this isn't real architecture. Real architecture is proper stone stuff, and everyone's being seduced by this nonsense.
yeah. I mean, actually, the sort of Gothic revival's got quite a long way yet to run at that point, doesn't it? Yeah, it is a funny one,
And he finds it really hard to like because it's not technologically sophisticated enough for him, the Crystal Palace. Like, he says, oh, the span's no wider than the Basilica in Padua, which I think misses the point.
Yeah, I mean, the real thing is they just decided to do it, and they knocked it out in
Well,
like 6
also
weeks
that
or
it's
something,
a
didn't they? It was a kind of it was a crazily short design
Yeah.
and build period.
But it's also a completely different. No one had ever done anything like that.
Yeah,
10 years before this, the world was not very. London only just got a railway station.
yeah,
I think the first railway station in London was less than 10 years before. But this all makes sense.
yeah. And then we have.
It's nice how he keeps including, with all of them, with all of the exhibitions, he includes these really naff
things
artworks.
that were inside it. Yeah, no, I think that's nice. He also tries
He's
to
very catty.
he attempts to have this kind of moment again of like synchronicity where he says, this sort of the way the Crystal Palace sort of dissolves into the sky from the inside is a bit like a Turner painting. I mean, Turner is someone who kind of illustrates the whole thing around what perspective is actually for quite well, because he definitely knew how to do it.
Yeah,
he taught a very detailed course about how to do it at the Royal Academy. Does he actually use it very much in his paintings? Not really.
Those early like neoclassical ones, where there's like lots of sort of the fall of Babylon going on before it dissolves into mist. He definitely puts it in some of the.
You could definitely do it when he thought that he needed it, but it was not really. I mean, I love all of these Galerie de Machines. Which is your favourite? So there's the first kind of double arch one. I think I really like these like concentric lozenge ones.
I think my two favourite of these are the Crystal Palace and the last one.
Yeah,
the 1871 is quite cool.
Yeah,
1871 is quite cool.
He's very disappointed by these big sort of decorative entrances in the 1870s one,
which is strange because they're quite. Anyway,
yeah.
But all the way through, he's like, and then there's this fantastic technological development. And look at all this stupid stuff that people were into back then. Weren't they, Wallies?
Yeah. And then, of course, we also got the Eiffel Tower in the last of the those.
With some really fantastic photographs of it,
yeah.
and a great run up of the bridges and previous designs of Eiffel, which I was vaguely aware of, but
he got a lot done, didn't he? And they're pretty amazing,
and it's pretty cool. And again, he's able to get that spirit of like how basic stuff was back then. In the mid 19th century, things were really very basic.
Yeah.
Economically and technologically, and even toward the end, Eiffel's first things he's doing in the 1860s, things are basic in the 1860s.
Yes, they moved it along a lot. And the Eiffel Tower, I mean, it does become it is something sort of celebrated by modern artists at the time, and he has this the bit from a painting by Robert Delaunay. And then that's really. Yeah.
And then he has a couple of transporter bridges for funsies.
Yeah. And then that's kind of the end of the industrial story.
Yeah. And what he's done with the industrial story is super clear.
Yeah.
What he's interested in, which is technological progress. But really, he skipped the whole history of architecture, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's new potentialities. New potentialities is engineering, steel.
Mega sheds, mega spaces, mega spans,
and frames and things.
Not interested in services. Not interested in any of like Mathesius, English house stuff.
And then
he actually kind of hates arts and crafts.
Yeah, and he's also saving ferroconcrete, which is going to appear in the next chapter, which is called the demand for morality. Yeah. And this is really the cultural heroes who are prepared to overthrow the authority of historical styles, eclecticism, and all of the rest. And this chapter gets quite fun because he starts to have kind of talking heads, He's like, I talked to Henri van der Velde, or I talked to H.P. Berlach, or I talked to whoever. Yeah, these various people start to enter the narratives in their own voices, albeit in a slightly kind of hokey way, but they give a little account of what it was that they were about and what they were trying to do. Yeah, what is it about them that is groundbreaking? They're interested in the new materials, and they're also prepared to use the new materials openly, But
the other thing that actually is for him, at least if not more important, is that they're prepared to reject historic styles and ornament,
or kind of pare it back at least, sort of.
Well, I mean, if you read the Horta description, he's like, yeah, great progress. Look at all this cool stuff. Ultimately, completely vacuous and bankrupt,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Because he thinks the problem with Nouveau is that it knows what the problem is, but it has a solution that is just as poisonous, which is more decoration.
More decoration. Yeah. More lovely decoration. Horrible.
What's the point of embracing new technology if you're just going to use that technology to be decorative?
Yeah. To be beautiful.
To be beautiful. That is disgusting.
That's not what we want. Yeah. Yeah. So you got some sort of classic Victor Horta references, which are a bit hard to appreciate as reproduced. It's hard.
That cast iron building is pretty cool.
Yeah, they're hard to talk about, aren't they? I've sort of had a brief look at. He's got really interesting plans, Horta.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people in this section, like Horta and also Auguste Perret, kind of doing interesting things with planning because of kind of moving towards a sort of column-based structure.
Yeah.
Yes. But still very much working within the logic of rooms. We're not open plan.
They're quite sophisticated late 19th century rooms.
Yeah.
We've done this with lots of people, but you start to get partial divisions of room. They're like rooms as Gaudi would understand it, where you can kind of move from one room into another room without passing through a door, where there's partial divisions, and that's because you don't need complete walls when you've got columns.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the columns do have to stack on top of each other.
Away with this infected atmosphere characterizes the cry of the moralizers. So who does he have? He's got H.P. Berlach's Stock Exchange,
which he's
in
really
Amsterdam.
into.
Yeah, which is a cool building. I think he really likes the way in which it's sort of it has like a very, very flat facade. Although it's still, in lots of ways, looks quite traditional if it weren't for this sort of flattening away. So it's brick and stone sort of dressings. The store's stone dressings are completely flush with the brickwork and everything. This for me is still like very much kind of eclectic in spirit.
This is Victorian eclecticism.
I think a lot of one of the things which is powering eclecticism, I think, is drawing games, kind of bringing drawing games into spatial design or into ornament. So I think that there's a sort of game here that this is all flat. It's a sort of elevation play or something. It's things which look as if they would be proud are actually flat. It's also got a big cast iron roofed hall on the inside, which he's into, obviously. And there are also some curiosities. I like the Hennebeek house. So this was what a guy who had invented one of the sort of patent, when people were doing reinforced concrete, there were lots of sort of patent systems initially.
Mm.
Nowadays, obviously, it's a kind of commodity material, but at that point, there were lots of...
Well, people had to work out how to use it. It wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
It was quite... The thing with how you plug together steel is really obvious.
Yeah.
But how you actually make and use reinforced concrete is not super obvious. You've kind of got to really think about it. Well, okay, so we could just briefly mention...
Yeah, Wagner's also mentioned.
Wagner is mentioned. See our Wagner episodes.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff we said.
And
he's really into Wagner.
Yeah, and he's kind of juxtaposed with Anthony Sant'Elia as well.
Well, he says Anthony Sant'Elia couldn't have existed without Wagner and is kind of super influenced by Wagner. And then they went into the history of reinforced concrete.
Yeah, I thought that the Hennebeek house, it's a bit... he just shows the section. But have you seen what it actually looks like?
No.
It's got a minaret. I think he wanted to show what it could do. So it's got a lot of weird kind of terraces. The section sort of steps in and out a lot. And it's got...
It's showing you can do cantilevers.
Lots of cantilevers. It's got these kind of big bow kind of window spaces at lower levels. And it's got a minaret, which is has no religious function, but is pure bit of kind of Orientalist fantasy.
Well, that's a bit fun.
I can't remember where is Bourg la Reine. I think it's in sort of outer Paris. And then Auguste Perret, who's obviously the great early ferroconcrete, ferrocement stylist, who we get a bit on.
He's all right. He's not as good as the Americans.
He does some amazing projects.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. The Rue Franklin apartments are very, very very cool.
He doesn't
project.
even include the Champs-Élysées theatre.
Yeah. This is morality. Morality is getting away from throwing off the dead hand of eclecticism.
Yeah, I think the reason he doesn't rate Perret that highly is that he's got ornament on the facade.
Yeah.
He's trying out the different decorative things you can do with concrete as well.
Yeah. He's not a purist. And we also have. I don't think I put
we've
it in.
got
We got a little bit of
Tony Garnier.
got a little bit of Tony Garnier, yeah.
Who's gonna
Which I think
mention in
I
passing.
meant. I think I sort of meant to put something in for that, but I didn't. He did actually build He did a lot of building in Lyon, but it's not that spectacular to look at. And his sort of spectacular building is all this paper architecture in his imaginary industrial city kind of utopia. And then we've got
a history of American architecture.
Got America, yeah, because America is doing its own thing at the same time, and it's quite interesting which bits of America he sort of chooses to pull out. The Corbusier obviously was fascinated by North American construction, and there are lots of those pictures of those enormous grain silos in the Montreal docks, for example, or kind of American industrial architecture more widely. There's a lot of that. What is the significance of America for Giedion? It's a place where they've kind of figured out a lot of things in their own way, and they obviously have a sort of engagement with industrial technology and building. They're like the great centre of a kind of industrial activity and growth in the sort of late 19th century, early 20th century. He's also kind of interested in, I don't know, in lots of aspects of kind of American commercial sort of non-architecture construction. And then finally in sort of Chicago style, really. The Chicago style of the late 19th century is a sort of great moment.
And then Louis Sullivan and Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah.
But I would say he's got a few... He believes that the American continent is fundamentally a different place for architecture. I would be interested to know about the reception of this, because this was a book for America.
Yeah.
And so far, the book has been, I guess, what he was brought over to teach, right? Siam modernism.
Yes, the new American kind of avant-garde, yeah.
But his reading of America... So for him, America is born without sin. Europe is drenched and suffocated by its academic traditions and inheritance.
Yeah.
And America in Europe has to any progress has to swim through this treacle of this quicksand of history. The sin that he's concerned with is probably excessive craft production ornamentation.
It's sort of naive in the right ways. It's matter of fact. It's straightforward. It does things with a wonderful kind of simplicity.
America requires technology because it lacks labour.
Yeah.
And America is big, and so it has access to lots of commodities. He's then very interested in sort of history of commercial industrial design, which is, I guess, the core of Mechanization Takes Command. Like his next book, the real core of that book is him looking at American patent drawings.
Yeah.
And kind of writing a story about the history of modern humanity based on that. But there's the beginning of that here.
The sort of Sony Walkman of the 1870s is the Yale lock.
Yeah, there was lots of technological development. All of the locks were, the round one, with lots of different pin heights and things were being developed. It's just kind of better machining, right? I mean, he's very interested in these hammers.
Yes.
And how these hammers are unique. I don't know if it's true that we didn't have ball beam hammers in England or in France.
I don't know. Yeah. Have you got this funny lady with the fold-up bed?
Yeah.
I think that's the next one.
Yes.
Her head's much too big for her body. This picture of a housewife.
It's a bed, and it is, if you can imagine, a sort of giant fake wardrobe.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is America born free of sin, so this item has no ornamentation all over it.
He talks about it as the Pullman car style.
Which I think was a phrase, right? That's not him.
Yeah. And then he's also interested in timber framing, in balloon framing. This timber framing, the way that the buildings are made with kind of small section timber framing, which is very flexible and fast. And allows you to do potentially all sorts of different things.
I guess the significance of it is you just get a load of sticks and nail them together.
Yeah.
You don't joint anything.
Yeah.
So it's quick.
And I guess that there's also...
And you don't need nice timbers. You can just chuck any wood through a sawmill and get 2x2s.
And it creates perhaps a bit more of a sort of layer of abstraction between the sort of structural specifics of the building and how it is that you want to make it look.
Buildings that are made of frames where the material has tensile strength as well suddenly become a lot freer and openings can be much bigger. But for him, I think it being a sort of a system.
Yeah. And then we get various Sachlich American architecture, a bit of shaker stuff, some warehouses.
I wasn't familiar with these buildings made of massive granite blocks.
No, they're
just
cool,
made
aren't
them out of
they?
big granite bricks.
Yeah. And then, some sort of celebrated block buildings like H.H. Richardson's Marshall Field, what's it called? Marshall Field Stores or something.
Marshall Field Wholesale Store.
Yeah. I mean, what's the importance of this? It's big, single structure.
It's not covered in ornamentation.
Yeah. And then really the Chicago school is sort of the heroic bit when the buildings get tall, the facades get flat, the structure gets steel, the plans get columnar, the windows sometimes even change their format.
Get wide.
Become wide. There is obviously something going on here. And it's all quite a short period, isn't it? It's sort of a couple of decades when this is really going on.
Well, from the big Chicago fire to what would it be till the 1890s? I guess would be the time that people practically talk about it. For him, what are the peculiarities of this as opposed to anyone else's reading of this quite famous?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how famous the Chicago kind of building style period was in America by this point, but I would imagine people had already started.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when did they start to properly celebrate it?
Because I would think people would be arguing about the origin of the skyscraper in the 20s, surely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the most superficial level, so he does some sort of very basic stuff of juxtaposing these buildings with later things like Mies van der Rohe's glass skyscraper or Le Corbusier's Immeuble Clarté in Geneva.
We're saying that when this book came out, Le Corbusier, the Unité hadn't been built.
Still had quite a lot.
It's still quite early doors, you know.
I think that this style is exciting to him because, again, it's about this movement away from ornament. And you do see all of these very ingenious ways in which people kind of are sort of flattening the ornament and kind of accommodating it to the logic of these very tall buildings where you don't want to use a lot of kind of real estate to have like deep ornament.
It's interesting to me that when we were talking about the giant sheds of the great exhibitions, which he spent quite a long time on, as long as he spends on this, he's talks a lot about the different ways of resolving the structure.
Yeah.
And resolving the forces. I didn't get any real sense of how we go through different sorts of structures in the Chicago school. There were buildings in this period in America which were experimenting with different ways of doing tall buildings in masonry. There were, can you put the strong wall going into the plan rather than on the facade to get light in, there were steps on the way to doing the steel frame. He's not as interested in that. He's kind of goes through a few architects, and what he wants is this wide window from column to column.
Yeah.
And he wants the style to not be very classical.
Yeah.
And he wants the facade to be independent of the structure.
Yeah.
I wondered if that was because all of the technological sheds are covered in ornamental detail, and perhaps here some of them are less so. So he's got something where he can finally say, at last.
We're getting there. I think also the story of the Chicago style for him leads up to this great betrayal, which is the Chicago World's Fair, which was in a much more Beaux-Arts style, predominantly. Kind of goes much more over to a sort of at that moment of sort of celebration, they suddenly fall back under the spell of Europe, the authority of historicism and that kind of thing. They're just not quite ready to make the leap at that point.
Well, yeah, and he has Louis Sullivan as a sort of prophet in the desert shouting at them. He doesn't include any images of the Betrayal World's Fair,
No.
which we kind of know it's,
Yeah.
past the classicism.
Yeah. It was quite
a rather fruity and exotic guide.
It was quite cool, yeah. I mean, if it's a big fair, why shouldn't it look like that?
He doesn't understand that sometimes you want things to be decorative and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Or fun. He doesn't understand that you can do different things in different circumstances, but I guess that was because he was a partisan for this tremendous movement.
Yeah, that's it.
And we go Chicago style, and then there's a brief interlude of Louis Sullivan. I mean, can you really talk about Louis Sullivan ignoring any of his ornamental design?
Yeah, no, he's kind of using him just for his own purposes, isn't he?
Yeah, so the rest of America is Frank Lloyd Wright, and suffice to say, we will get onto in the next episode, he likes Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yes. Yes, he kind of concludes this bit with a funny bit from Frank Lloyd Wright's autobiography, which is, I mean, it's sort of incomprehensible, really. It's a kind of weird a weird dialogue between Frank Lloyd Wright and Daniel Burnham, essentially saying that the Beaux-Arts style exemplified by the Chicago World's Fair is over for little Frank, and that he can't believe in it anymore. He doesn't believe in Santa.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he ever did, right?
Yeah. With Frank Lloyd Wright, we're going to kind of get a bit of momentum towards what space-time is really all about, which is modern architecture and modern architects.
Kind of haunted. It's hard,
like John the Baptist.
I will say
Frank
one thing:
Lloyd Wright
it
is
never
the
quite nails down what space-time and architecture is about.
Yes.
So we're about halfway through the book. There is another whole half.
Yeah.
Which is about half is about modern architects and half is a history of urban planning, kind of again, which we've had some of already. Do you have any thoughts about why this was successful? Because it was.
I guess that he's doing exactly what people in the academy needed, which was bringing the new kind of inside the tent, Yeah. We're making the connection. We're joining it all back up again.
Kind of bringing the old into the tent as well.
Yeah, we're kind of joining up the old and the new, and we're kind of making all of the pieces. So the avant-garde are no longer kind of outside doing something kind of wholly, as much as he is talking about, the kind of the defeat of the academy. Really, he's sort of reconciling the modern movement and the academy and finding a sort of niche, a sort of place for it. I mean, there's this sort of enormous kind of cultural revolution, really, in the architecture schools, which is going on at this time, where they all go modernist.
Yeah.
Like, at the point that he's becoming an academic in the late 1930s, architecture schools were nearly all Beaux-Arts still, but then on the other side of the war, they basically all go modernist.
Yeah, I would say after the First World War, there's 10 years when there's a kind of conflict about what sort of new architecture is going to win, but by the late 20s, it's the international style. During the 30s, it becomes mainstream architecture, not the only type.
Yeah.
And starts to get into schools. And then after the Second World War, it's the only architecture, and everyone else are sort of dissidents. For
so this becomes so this becomes the story of how the revolution was achieved. Really, it can become, I guess, like the history of the victory of modern architecture and its cultural supremacy, which it hasn't really achieved at the time that he's writing it, but you can sort of see.
I would say it has culturally.
Yeah,
I would say it's culturally achieved it functionally.
Yeah, maybe not.
It wasn't what everyone was building everywhere, but the system is slow. Buildings take a long time people take a long time to turn over. Buildings take a long time to build. In 1940, modern architecture was the present. It wasn't the future.
But I think that the architecture schools did take a bit of time to catch up.
Well, the teaching is like the last thing to change, right?
Yeah. That's the thing which is going to happen across basically all of the universities, and this becomes the way to make sense of it.
I mean, I think it does the things that it was setting out to do.
Yeah.
It does reconcile history,
Yeah.
and people wanted history to be reconciled. You need to reconcile history if you're going to get all these Beaux-Arts teachers to teach it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go on to telling American architects about European modernism.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they wouldn't have heard about it, but there will be more. Does it put modernism on a firmer footing? Probably not.
No.
In that one, I don't really think...
Because I think that people have already moved on. So in the first edition, it doesn't have Alvar Aalto in there, and that's someone that he adds. And he's obviously trying to kind of keep it up, because he's immediately is a figure who changes what people think modern architecture is about. He gives it a completely different, I think that his significance for kind of modern architects immediately, like around the end of the Second World War, he's like a huge kind of figure. So yeah, I think that Giedion sort of tries to keep up with the times a bit, but really what he's done is sort of put a pin in a moment in time. There's no way he's going to like make it keep up with brutalism or...
But do you have any involvement with Team 10?
Well, I imagine isn't he symbolic? I mean, do they defenestrate him at the same time as everyone else?
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's old guard. I don't know. I think that's I don't know what there will be a little sketch of those events somewhere which we could probably dip into.
Because he would have been old, but he wouldn't have been hopelessly old.
No. Yeah, he would have been in his late 70s, I guess, yeah.
An architect in his prime.
Yeah.
And in a way, I think we have a sort of long-term thesis that, or like there is a possibility of a thesis that architecture theory is necessary and impossible.
Yeah.
The thing that people sort of want, which is like this is a way which you can think about building, that is kind of an impossible thing.
Yeah.
Gideon's not going to answer that because it's impossible.
Yeah. No, indeed.
But we will have his account of
the present
modern
moment.
architecture,
On the next episode, we'll have some supporting images going up on our social media accounts, which are about underscore buildings on most of the platforms. You can find links to all of that on our website, which is about buildingsandcities.org. We also have bonus episodes which are available via our Patreon, which is linked at the same place. The podcast is edited by Matthew Lloyd Roberts. Thank you very much, Matthew.
If you get the Patreon, you get even more stuff. And I think we will probably, at least one thing we'll talk about, although we won't necessarily read it all the way through, is his second book, which is called Mechanization Takes Command.
That's the wrong one. You're holding up the wrong one.
That's a wrong... Well, my one's pretty dark. The same thing. Yeah. This one, which is not called Space Time Architecture, it's called Mechanization Takes Command. And it's not about modern architecture, it's about everything. And I think it's also sort of about the Holocaust. And it's about chairs, Victorian chairs. And it's about...
It's got a bit of an Adam Curtis vibe for me. It's sort of like... Yes, we'll talk a bit about...
There's lots of drawings of pigs being taken apart by machines. There's a frog, which is strapped to lots of electrodes.
Yes.
And there's lots of poofy Victorian chairs.
Bit of intelligent dance music over the top.
Yeah. It's quite kooky. It's more kooky, this one.
Yes. You got that to look forward to.
That's for the patrons.
That's for the patrons. So we'll see you on the next recording, when we'll try and bop this one on the head.
Yes, please.
Thanks. And
this was a little light summer reading from George and Luke.
Yes. So see you. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.